Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Grind. How you doing this wonderful Tuesday morning? Good, I hope. I hope you have a great morning. I hope you have a great day. Today we're going to talk about two things that ask the same question, but are totally different. Those two things are faith and fear. Faith and fear both ask you to believe in something you can't see. One takes a lot more of your energy than the other. That one would be fear. When you're living in fear, you're constantly knotted up. Your mind is always going. It just chews you up. It just eats your energy up. It tires you out. Faith, on the other hand, if you have a little faith, you turn something over, you let it go, and you get about your day. You don't think about it anymore. Now, if you're not a person that has a lot of faith, that may take a little practice. But if you just think about your life, if you go back over the span of your life and you think about how many times you worried about something, you had fear about it, and it worked out anyway, you got to think, well, what's the point of doing that? There really is no point. So if you struggle with faith, just start with little things. Turn over little parts of your life that you worry about. Just let them go and get on with your day and see what happens. And when you find out that they work out anyway, then you'll be able to start turning over bigger things. At least that's how it worked for me. When I started out on that, trying that faith thing, I just didn't have any faith in it. I didn't believe it. So I said, I'm not going to do it. And then I said, what the heck, give it a try. Your mind's like a parachute, works better when it's open. So I said, if I don't try it, I'll never know. So I turned over some little things that I was worrying about, and lo and behold, they worked out. And I didn't have that fear about them anymore. So then I started turning over bigger things. No more fear. Now I turn over everything. When I start catching myself getting into that fear, I shake my head and say, nope, not going there. I'm just going to let it go. I give it the faith. And then I get about my day. And it will always work out. You know, I'm going to tell you something. Everything always works out one way or another. It may not work out the way you want it to, and that may be the best thing that happens to you. There's been times in my life when I turned something over and I knew how I wanted it to work out, and it didn't work out that way, and I was a little upset. And then down the road a ways, boom, it's thank you God that didn't work out that way. I didn't see all that mess involved in that. So the very first thing I ever turned over, way back years ago when I was kind of straightening my life out, I wanted a new truck. A friend of mine had got one. He couldn't rub two nickels together, for crying out loud. That's how broke he was. But they gave him a loan for a truck. And I said, well, geez, if he can get one, I can get one. So I went up to the Ford Motor Company, filled out the application. And my buddy was with me. They said, why don't you co-sign for him? So he did. And then he called me up and said, well, no, Ken, your credit isn't good enough to get a truck. And it wasn't. I had burned it to the ground back then. And I was mad. I was mad as hell. They said, well, we'll give it to your buddy. His credit will work. You just let him take it. You make the payments. I said, nope, not doing that. Not going to do it. And I wouldn't do it. And I was upset. And I was beating my fist on the table, yapping them up. I didn't even have a license at that time, for crying out loud. Anyway, 6 months down the road, I wasn't working. That truck would have got repossessed. I just said, thank you, God, for that one. Thank you, God, for that. If I'd have got that truck, look at the trouble I'd be in now. I realized at that point, turn it over. Stop worrying about it. It will all work out. A little while down the road, when I got my stuff straightened out, I got a new truck. Wasn't no problem. I was ready for that responsibility then. Anyways, if you're sitting around in fear, turn it over. Give it to God. It'll work out. It may not be the way you want, like I said, but it will work out for whatever's best. It was best that I didn't get that truck at that time, because then I really would have screwed up my credit. I really would have made a mess of life. It didn't happen. So by having faith, you're really set free. You don't have to worry about things. You don't have to be in fear anymore. And it really doesn't take any energy. Just turn it over and get on with your life. You can believe it's God working. You can believe it's Creator, the universe, or it's just plain old life working itself out. It's always going to work out. Life is always moving. And you have a lot more to do with it than you think. The things that you think about in your mind, you're bringing them into fruition. That's just how it goes. So let it go. Turn it over and get on with it. Faith versus fear. Faith and fear can't live in the same house at the same time either. If you have faith in something, you won't have fear in it. And if you say that you've got 100% faith and you're afraid of something, then you don't have 100% faith. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.